the flight goes from Guam to Chuuk to Bombay.
But we're in opposite direction. He's over there and I'm over here.
Today is Saturday, June 6, 2020. It's day 27 of the fourth regular session, 21st Congress. It will now come to order. May we all bow our heads for a moment of silent prayer. Okay, roll call, Chief Clerk.
Senator Aritas, Senator
Yes.
Christian, Senator Figuer,
Yes.
Senator Coolant, Floor
Yes.
Leader Harper, Senator Conman,
Hey,
Vice Speaker Moses, Senator Nath, Senator Pollack,
Yes.
Senator Perman, Senator Romulo, Senator Morris Mall,
My
Senator Wally, Speaker Simina. Mr. Speaker, 13 members are present.
We have a forum to transact business today. Before we continue on, Chairman Ursimo, I am designating you again as our acting floor leader. Okay, next item is reading of the journal. Acting floor, Ursimo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and good morning to all of you here and afar. I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal.
second.
Has been moved and seconded that we dispense with the reading of the journal. Those in favor of that motion say yes. Opposed,
Yes.
no. Motion carried. The reading of the journal has been dispensed with. Okay, next item. Chief Clerk.
Item 5, Presidential Communications, there are none.
Continue.
Speaker, point of privilege.
OSAD. Raise your German permit.
Yes, sorry, Lam said is blocking me, so. But good morning to you, Speaker, all honorable members. Speaker, I rise on a point of privilege to recognize some of the our constituents that's actually observing our session this morning. From the Office of the President, we have Lauren Robert, Balsasar, and Mr. Abraham that is observing our session. Also, Vice Speaker's son, youngest son, is also observing our session this morning, Sony Moses. Let's please give them all a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Berman, for introducing those individuals. We thank them for joining us especially under these circumstances. It's difficult to and recognize individuals who are visiting our session place. Thank you for that. So any other point of privilege? If none, continue, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, item 6, FSM Supreme Court Communications, there are none. Item 7, Member Communications, none. Item 8, Departmental Communications, also none. Item 9, Agency or Governmental Authority Communications, none. Item 10, State Communications, none. Item 11, State Supreme Court Communications, none. Item 12, Municipal or Town Communications, none. And item 13, Foreign Government Communications, none, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, we're now on our order of the day. Item 14, Standing Committee Report. Chief Clerk, do we have any?
There are none, Mr. Speaker. No reports.
Item 15, Special Committee Reports. Chief Clerk, any special committee reports?
No special committee report, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, the next item.
Item 16, Assignment of Measures and Communications. We have a referral sheet number 21-81.
Okay, Chairman and members of the committees, review that for your planning purposes. Next item.
Item 17, Unfinished Business, none.
We're on the bill calendar. First bill, Chief Clerk.
Item 18,
Who's that? Point of privilege? Okay, Chairman Romulo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on a point of privilege to say a few words before we start with the bill calendar. And I just want to say a few words, and I say them with all due respect to members of this Angus party. Recently in our session, the Chuk delegation has been accused of being unfair and for doing something that has been done before by this Congress. In its attempt to turning an appropriation for a ship for Chuk into public projects for the Chukis people. I understand that that's why the two states voted against CP number 21-229. Since such accusations against the Chuk delegation were made on the record, I am forced to say a few words to clarify the record regarding what the Congress had done before on similar subjects. Let it be very clear that the Congress has done actually the same thing on previous occasions. We need not look further because just this session, Congress passed on final reading CP number 21-202. While this bill concerns only YAP, the original act, Public Law number 18-11, appropriated 1.65 million to Pohnpei and YAP to retrieve debt and to help with the budget shortfalls for those two states government. 1.1 million was for Pohnpei and 550 was for YAP. Now, just look at the history of this public law as it was amended thereafter, and you will understand what I am talking about. I'll end here, but it must be clear that what Chuk delegation was attempting to do with CP number 21-229 was not new, and it follows precedents of this Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman Romulo, for your statement. Any other point of privilege? If none, let's continue. Chief Work, first bill.
Mr. Speaker, we have CB number 21-219, CD3 for second reading. CB number 21-219, CD3. It's a bill for an act to further amend Public Law number 20-178 as amended by Public Laws numbers 21-1, 21-7, 21-36, 21-53, 21-56, 21-102, and 21-115 by amending sections 3, 4, and 6 thereof to change the use, allotee, and lapse date of funds previously appropriated therein to fund public projects and social programs for the people of Koshai, Pohnpei, and Chuk states, and for other purposes.
Chairman Figure,
The Congress passes Congress Bill to number 21-219 on second and final reading.
any second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CB number 21-219 CT3. Okay, discussion. Any discussion?
Speaker.
Oh, Chairman Ned,
Thank you, Speaker. I have a floor amendment to offer on behalf of Senator Christian and myself, which has been written up and distributed. I so move for its adoption.
Second.
it has been moved and seconded that the offered floor amendment by Chairman Ned to CP number 21-219 CD3 be adopted. Because of its length, we will dispense with its reading. Acting for.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I move that the relevant section and paragraphs of our rules that may impede our action on this proposed floor amendment, especially the one relating to substantive amendment on second reading, be suspended. So move.
Any second?
I guess no
Second.
second.
It has been moved and seconded that the relevant rules, specifically the rules prohibiting substantive amendments on second and final reading, be suspended. Those in favor say yes.
Aye.
And carried. The relevant rules are now suspended. So discussion on the offer for amendments. Short recess subject to call of the chair. Congress is back in session. We're still discussing the offered oral amendments, floor amendments. If there is no further discussion on it, if no objection, discussion is closed. So let's vote. Those in favor of adoption of the offered floor amendments to CP number 21-219 CD3, say yes. Opposed, no.
Yes.
Carried. The floor amendment to CP 21-219 CD3 is adopted. And I have CT4. Any further discussion on CT4?
Speaker,
Chairman Ursula.
thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just want
Chairman Ursula, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. I want to satisfy the listening audience that the mention of Chuk, Koshrai, and Pohnpei on this bill without mentioning of Yap does not mean that Yap doesn't or did not get any money for this public project. Yap has a different section or different law giving us this appropriate money. So please, especially those of you from the state of Yap, don't feel bad. Your delegation is looking out for your interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Again, I agree with you, E.
For explaining why Yap is not among those states appropriating money this time. Okay.
Speaker.
Chairman Romulo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an oral amendment to the said bill and I wish to offer.
Short recess subject to call of the chair. Congress is back in session. We're still discussing CP number 21-219 CD4. Chairman Romulo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the floor to Chief Clerk to read the oral amendment.
With the oral amendment, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, we have an oral amendment by Senator Robson U. Romulo on CP number 21-219 CD4, page 11, line 3, delete the following: 5, open parentheses, 6, close parentheses, open parentheses, lowercase a, close parentheses.
Okay, there you have it. Make a motion for adoption. Romulo.
Motion for adoption on the oral amendment.
That's been moved and seconded that the offered oral amendment by Chairman Romulo to CD4 be adopted. The relevant rules are still suspended up to this point. So discussion on the offered oral amendments. Any discussion? If none, there's no objection. Discussion is closed. So let's vote. Those in favor of adoption of the offered oral amendment say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. The offered oral amendments are adopted by Congress. Okay, any further discussion on CD4?
Question.
Mike? Any further discussion on CD5? If none, if there is no objection, discussion is closed. So let's vote on that bill, CP 21-219 CD5. Chief Clerk, roll call of delegations.
State of Chuk, Chairman Aritos.
Yes.
State of Pohnpei, Chairman Perman. State of Kushai, Chairman Wali.
Yes. Yes.
State of Yap, Chairman Ursmal.
Yay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All the 4 states voted in affirmative.
CP number 21-219 has passed Congress on second and final reading. Next bill.
Mr. Speaker, we have CP number 21-231 for second reading. CP number 231. It's a bill for an act to further amend Public Law number 20-125 as amended by Public Laws numbers 20-135, 20-146, 20-157, 20-179, 20-189, 21-6, 21-40, 21-59, and 21-96 by amending Section 4 thereof to change the use of certain funds previously appropriated therein to fund public projects and social programs for the people of the state of Pohnpei and for other purposes.
Chairman Trujillo.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, I move that Congress passes Congress Bill number 21-2231 on second and final reading.
Second.
And seconded that Congress pass on second and final reading CP number 21-231. Discussion on the bill? Any discussion?
Question. Oh, sorry.
Speaker,
Vice Speaker Moses?
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning to you, members and those who are observing. I have a written amendment that I wish to make, to offer on the proposed bill. It changes or corrects the allottee of some sections in the public project bill, along with an amendment that was also included in the written amendment by Senator Golan to change the allottee. And I so move for its adoption, and I would like to request that we dispense with its reading. It's quite lengthy, so I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the offered floor amendment to CP 21-231 be adopted, offered by Vice Speaker Moses, be adopted. Because of its length, we will dispense with its reading, and the relevant rules are still suspended up to this point. So discussion on the offered floor amendment. Any discussion? If
Question call for.
none, if there's no objection, discussion is closed. Let's vote. Those in favor of the offer for amendment to CP 21-231, say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. The offer for amendment to CP 21-231 is adopted. We now have CT1. Okay, any further discussion on CT1? Discussion.
Question.
There is no objection. Discussion is closed. So we will vote by roll call of delegations. Chief Clerk?
State of Chuk, Chairman Aritos.
Yes.
State of Pohnpei, Chairman Perman. State of Kushai, Chairman Wali.
Yes.
State of Yap, Chairman Ursmal.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all the four states voted for.
CP number 21-231 CD1 has passed conference on second and final reading. Next bill, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker?
Next bill, Chief Clerk. Oh, Vice Speaker
There are none,
Moses.
Mr.
Okay, Vice Speaker
Thank you,
Moses.
Mr. Speaker. I would like to move that Congress reconsider CB number 21-225 CD10. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Second.
Short recess subject to call of the chair. Is back in session. There is a motion to reconsider our action on CP number 21-225 CD10. That's our action on second and final reading. That's not subject to debate. So we will vote by roll call of delegations. Chief Clerk?
Short recess, I'm sorry.
Short
Speaker.
recess, Speaker.
Okay. Congress is back in session. We're still considering the motion to reconsider reconsider CP 21-225 CD 10. That's not subject to debate. So roll call, Chief Clerk of the delegations.
Mr. Speaker, reconsideration of CP number 21-225 CD10, State of Chuk, Chairman Aritos.
I yield to Chairman Romulo.
Chairman Romero.
For Chuk, vote is no, N-O.
State of Pohnpei, Chairman Perman.
Yes.
State of Kushai, Chairman Wali.
Yes. Yes.
State of Yap, Chairman Ismail.
AWF votes is same as yesterday, no. No. Yap's vote, same as yesterday. We want to be consistent.
That's yes, right?
No.
That's
If clerk is not hearing me,
That's very
Yeah, I
consistent.
heard you.
Speaker,
Okay, Chief Clerk, what's the result?
Yeah, based on the vote of today, it's 2-2. 2 states voted for, 2 against.
For that reason, the motion to reconsider our action on CP number 21-225 CD 10 is not adopted.
A resolution, Chair. A resolution. Speaker, motion to move to the resolution calendar.
Okay, any other appeal before we move on? Chief Clerk?
There are none, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, if there is no objection, we will now go on to item 19. That's the resolution calendar. Chairman Permit?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the following resolutions that I would like to withdraw and place under the resolution calendar. It's 21-151, 21-152, and 21-161. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Any second? Any second?
second.
Yes, moved and seconded that the following resolutions be withdrawn from committee and placed on the resolution calendar for action. Resolution number 21-151, resolution that 21-152, and resolution number 21-161. Okay, those in favor of that motion say yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Doris says
Short recess of the call. Congress is back in session. We're on voting. Those in favor of the motion to withdraw and place those resolutions, say yes. Opposed, no.
Yes.
Motion carried. Resolution 21-151, resolution number 21-152, and resolution number 21-161 are withdrawn from committees and placed on the resolution calendar for action. First resolution, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, we have Congressional Resolution number 21-151 for adoption. CR number 21-151 is a resolution approving an application for a federal grant in the amount of $190,915 and its submission to the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, for the Behavior Risk Factor Surveillance System, or BRFSS, impact in population health.
So move for its adoption, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, any second?
Second.
Seconded that Congress adopt resolution number 21-151. Discussion. Any discussion?
Speaker.
Chairman Berman?
Thank you, Speaker. This is an ongoing grant. It's 3-year cycle. We've been receiving this funding for the past 10 years. They are doing community work, gathering data to determine what services, treatment programs are needed regarding tobacco and alcohol use in all 4 states. That's the grant for. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Berman, for the explanation. Any other discussion? If none, if there's no objection, discussion closed. So let's vote by roll call. Let's vote. Those in favor of adoption of resolution 21-151, say yes.
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 Carried. Resolution 21-151 is adopted by Congress. Next resolution, Chief Clerk.
All the resolutions are linked, Mr. Speaker. So CR number 21-152 for adoption. This is a resolution approving and accepting a grant in the amount of $250,000 from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families to fund and support the personal responsibility education program in the FSM, including all the terms and conditions of the assistance.
So move for its adoption, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that Congress pass on number 21-152. Discussion? Any discussion?
Speaker.
Yes, Chairman Berman?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, this is an ongoing grant that's been ever since 2010. Program addresses unhealthy, risky behaviors for teens from 15 to 19, especially addressing teen pregnancy, school dropouts, and alcohol use, and etc. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Berman, for explaining the purpose of that grant. Yes, Chairman Ursumal, I know you heard about teens. That's why you want to say something about it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The reference to teens, and yet it's only from ages 15 to 19. What about 13, 14? I can see why 12 is not included, but 13 and 14 are still teens, are also teens. Why are they not included? And I'm sorry to ask the good chairman on, yes, I am a member of that committee. But may I know if there is information on why they are not included?
Chairman Berman, you want to help out our colleague? He doesn't understand.
Program. Yeah, I guess that's the federal programs guideline, Senator Rusumal. But you and I know that our teens begin even when they're 8 years old, 9 years old. Those are already considering themselves teens. So the flexibility of the program, I guess, sometimes is allowable once that program reaches here.
Yeah, Speaker, I thank the good Vice Chairman for his help. And I'm just, I guess, thinking aloud here by stating that, and I believe I've stated to the department that the more they try to educate our teens, the more they get in trouble with teenage pregnancies and all these unwelcome behavior. So I hope they're not educating them to know how to do these things. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chairman Ursimal, for your concern. I do believe it's just the opposite of what you're saying, or you're hoping it's not the case. So it's a good program. Okay, any other discussion? If none, if there's no objection, discussion is closed. Those in favor of adoption of resolution number 21-152, say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Resolution number 21-152 is adopted by Congress. Next resolution, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, we have functional resolution number 21-161 for adoption. CR number 21-161 is a resolution approving and accepting grants in the total amount of $525,042 from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration to provide funding for prevention and treatment services related to substance abuse for the budget period from October 1st, 2020 to September 30, 2021, including all the terms and conditions of the assistance.
Chairman Permit.
Speaker, so move. Thank you, Speaker. So move for its adoption.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Congress adopt resolution 21-161. Discussion. Any discussion? Chairman Permit.
Speaker.
Yes, Speaker.
Chairman Permit. Yes.
Thank you, Speaker. Again, this is an ongoing grant ever since 2002, mainly to fund all substance abuse and mental health services on all 4 states.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Permit for explaining.
Speaker.
The
Speaker.
grant. Oh yes, sorry, Vice Chairman Balik.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon to you and members. You know, one of the questions that we've been asking on this federal program is whether or not portion of it could be rebudgeted or transferred to be used for COVID-19 related activities. This grant, I understand the total amount for this program is $700,000, and this particular request would be for $525,000, leaving about a balance of $175,000 under this particular program. There's a section in the grant award that does allow, and I want to read that section on budget modification / COVID-19. And it simply states that in general, grant recipients may rebudget funds to other activities because of COVID-19. So while I support this approving this grant, may I request the chairman to look into possibility of rebudgeting the remaining $175,000 under the program for COVID-19 related activities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairman Balik, your concern. Does anybody want to say anything?
Mr. Speaker, that, it's an administrative decision, I believe. Congress's job is to pass to allow the grant to go through. Now, it's administration's decision to work with the grantor to see if they would allow us to move some money into COVID-19. But for our purposes here, I think I want to thank Aaron for bringing it up, but let's leave that to the administration to decide.
Okay, thank you, Senator Christian. We'll just have to find out from the implementors of the grant whether that's allowable or not. So, anything, Chairman Berman, you want to add?
Yes, question.
Questions being called for. Before I go on, Chairman Wale? Yes, Chairman Wale?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Okay, questions been called for. If there is no objection, debate is closed. So let's vote. Those in favor of adoption of resolution number 21-161, say yes.
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 Motion carried. Resolution number 21-161 is adopted by Congress. Next resolution, the clerk.
Speaker,
There are none.
Speaker.
Yes, Senator Palik, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Move to withdraw resolution number 21-156 and place it on calendar for action. So move, Mr. Speaker.
And second,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded that resolution number 21-156 be withdrawn from committee and placed on the resolution calendar for action. Short recess, subject to call of the chair.
Mr. Speaker, I have the same issue with Jerusalem. I'd like to know what resolution is being proposed to be withdrawn
That's why I
instead
call
of,
for Congress is back in session, so there is that motion to withdraw and place. Those in favor say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Resolution number 21-156 has been withdrawn from committee and placed on the resolution calendar for action. Okay, Chief Clerk, with the title. Yes, Chairman Ursumal,
Yeah, short recess, Mr. Speaker.
short recess, subject to call of the chair. Congress is back in session. Chief Clerk. Read the title.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we have CR, or Congressional Resolution Number 21-156 for adoption. This is a resolution urging the President of the Federated States of Micronesia to work with multinational lenders to implement measures to help state borrowers in financial stress due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Okay, Vice Chairman Palik, motion for adoption.
So move, Mr. Speaker, for adoption of Resolution 21-156.
Second, any second? It has been moved and seconded that Congress adopt resolution number 21-156. Short recess subject to call of the chair. yes, we're still discussing the resolution. Okay, any discussion?
Speaker,
Mr. Speaker,
Malik?
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, Vice Speaker Moses. Vice Speaker Moses, then Senator Palik. Yes.
yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just, with all due respect to Senator Pollack and Willie, the intent, I believe, is a good one. However, I do not support the resolution, and for the reasons that I will probably state in a little bit. When I know that the states are hurting a little bit on debt repayment, but it's not a new thing, and it's not necessarily related to this COVID-19. We should not take unnecessary opportunities in cases like these, I believe. And the reason why is back about 4 or 5 years ago, one of the lenders, the main lenders to the FSM, downgraded us at our request. So we went from a lender, from a entity that receives loans, to an entity that is grants only. And normally when you request for loans to be forgiven or restructured, you have to back it up with some information that reflects your inability to repay a debt. Now, with that being said, I believe we have several lending institutions that lend to the FSM, and a lot of the projects are in the states. However, the national government is the guarantor on these loans. For instance, we have $64 million that we owe to the Asian Development Bank. We have $25 million that we owe to the Rural Utility Service, which is part of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, in 2 loans, one to FSM Telecom and one to Pohnpei Utilities Corporation. The other one is an $11 million loan that FSM Petroleum Corporation got from the Bank of Guam. Now, within the past several years, and reflecting now, a bulk of the amount owed is by the national government, which is about 52 million. Pohnpei Yap State is the second highest lender with 19. Pohnpei Chuk State is third with 13 million. Pohnpei is fourth at 12 million. Koshai has 4 million out of all the entire debts that FSM national government is a guarantor toward. Now, when it comes to financial position and our ability or inability to repay these loans, we should have to show these lenders that we no longer have that ability. And it's going to be very hard for us to justify, because in 2017, our improvement with in relation to our debts and the financial position that has improved over the past several years does not reflect that we are in a state of inability to repay loans. And some of the statistics, our debt to GDP ratio in 2017 was 21.8%, which is very good in terms of developing countries. Now, fast forward, and the projected debt to GDP ratio in 2021 is 14%, which is a vast improvement from the past 3-4 years. So I don't see the justification in having us pass a resolution and put the president in an awkward position to ask for something that is not justified under our current financial situation. So that's what I wanted to try and voice and to register that I do not support the resolution at this time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Vice Speaker Moses, for your statement. I will give it to Vice Chairman Palik to say something and offer his amendment if there is one.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the comments made by Vice Speaker. It's true that our debt to GDP ratio is very low. We prefer that. But as you state, Speaker, this is unprecedented time. We cannot look at even our financial statement now and say we're okay. Looking forward, and I can speak for Coxay State Government, the impact of this virus and our inability to generate revenue cover this loan payment has been a significant challenge. That's why not able to amortize the loan, national government went ahead and pay on behalf of Coxay State, then garnish our revenue. It's not the present, it's not the past that we should be concerned about. Yes, it's important, but if you look at the future and the impact of this virus and on our economy, it could be very significant, and that would make it very difficult, at least for Coxay State, to continue making this payment. Now, I know that in conversation with Chairman Urusamal, he even stated that the Yap State government tried in the past and was not successful. So just because it's difficult, we don't ask. I still think that it's the right thing to do, to ask. Then let them decide. In the resolution, it's clear that we understand it's those lending institutions that will make the decision themselves based on their guidelines and their requirements. They'll tell us what the requirements are. But this is an opportunity, Mr. Speaker and members, open up that it's not just Coxay State, but other lenders that are seeking relief from international organizations. Now, if you look at the, I am thinking about this international multinational lenders, ADB, World Bank, and others, even RUS, that with the COVID-19, that they're adjusting the way they look at things, their financing. And I think this is an opportunity that we could request. It's not that, and I understand Vice Speaker's information on different balances. That only tells us that we have a lot of outstanding debt that we have to either pay or ask for those institutions to forgive. Now, we may not get an outright forgiveness on those debt, but they might offer us a better option. Maybe reduce the restructure those loans, give us a lower payment, maybe forgive some of the interest accrued on those loans. So we don't know. I don't know what the actions those lenders would ultimately grant, but I think it's, for me, it's, I wouldn't be shying away to ask. President's responsibility is to do those, I understand, to request those. But I think that a resolution from Congress would enhance, would give some fire and some favor to the actions that he will be taking. Again, Mr. Speaker, I cannot speak for the other states, but certainly for Coxay State, our cash flow has been affected because of COVID-19. This is unprecedented time, and that's the main reason we're asking. Even now, servicing those loans, if you go back and look at the purposes for which those loans were granted, one have to ask really, how does it contribute to our economy? Some of these loans are questionable in the first place. So I think that I believe the action we're taking on this resolution, again, I want to offer an amendment that would include, again, the request from Telecom to ask RUS to do the same. Again, it's not primarily intended for asking forgiveness of those debt, but rather, well, after request for forgiveness of debt, but if it's not possible, there are other remedies that they may be able to offer to assist these borrowers. And again, it's not just us, but throughout the world, because of COVID-19, many governments are also taking this type of request into consideration. Thank you,
Senator
Mr. Speaker.
Offer your amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a floor amendment to offer on CR 21-156. I believe the resolution has been distributed and would ask that Chief Clerk read it. I move for the adoption of that floor amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the offer for amendment by Senator Palik to Resolution 21-156 be adopted. Chief Clerk, can you read it into the record?
Yeah, for information, the amendment is already linked on the portable agenda. But, Mr. Speaker, we have a floor amendment to Functional Resolution 21-156 offered by Senator Aaron B. Palik. Item 1, title, second line after the word state, insert the following, and state-owned enterprise. Item 2, on page 1, line 13, delete the word difficult and insert the word difficulty in lieu thereof. Item 3, on page 1, line 13, after the word state, insert and state-owned enterprise. Item 4, page 1, line 15, after the word bank, insert the following, comma, and the World Bank, comma, and the United States Rural Utilities Service, or RUS, within parentheses. Item 5, page 2, line 2, after the word state, insert and state-owned enterprise.
That's it, Chief Clerk?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. There you have it. Discussion on the offered floor amendments. Any discussion? If none, objection. Debate is closed. So let's vote. Those in favor of adoption of the offer for amendment by Senator Palik, CR 21-156. Yes. Votes no. Okay, the offer for amendment are adopted. We now have one. Any further discussion on CD1? Yes, Chairman Ursumal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just want to correct a reference to a statement that I may have made to Vice Chairman Palik relating to YAP's attempt to seek forgiveness of a loan. As a matter of fact, what I was sharing with him, if I recall correctly, is not YAP State asking for forgiveness of a loan. It was the national government relating to the loan from ATB of about, I believe, $4 million for fisheries project. And the loan, we had requested that the loan be forgiven because the ATB was also at fault in encouraging for the project, and it failed. And this was a loan that was approved, given to some people to set up Micronesian Longline Fisheries Company, which ended up failing. And now we're paying so much money per year to repay it. So it wasn't YAP State, it was the national government. Just to correct the reference to my statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Ursumal.
Thank you, Chairman, for clarification. Thank you very much for the clarification.
So in the end, the Congress is still paying that. So why not just ask to try again? Maybe during this pandemic, odds do change. People will see that we're suffering. So they will probably do it. So any further discussion on the resolution?
Question.
Question has been called for. If there is no objection, debate is closed. Let's vote. Those in favor of adoption of resolution number 21-156 CD1, say yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 21-156 CD1 adopted by Congress. Next resolution, Chief Clerk.
There are none, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, any other resolution? If none, put on our order. Next item. Resolution.
Item 19, item 20, introduction of bills and resolution.
Any measure to introduce, pass them on to Chief Clerk for introduction. Next item.
Item 21, miscellaneous communications, none, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, item 22, miscellaneous business.
Speaker.
Acting for.
Speaker.
Okay. Go ahead, acting floor, then after you finish, we'll give it to John Berman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I move that the record for this very long regular session, 27 days, be reviewed by the presiding officers and approved by the same with any other corrections by each member as they read the journal. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
And second,
Second.
that presiding officers shall review and correct the journals of our long regular session, fourth regular session, and members of Congress are also authorized to allow statements to be corrected as they see fit. So those in favor of the motion, say yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. So be it. Okay. Any further miscellaneous business? Chairman Berman, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just want to share a disappointment on my part regarding this session, one of the longest regular session ever since I got in the office. This is the one, I think, the longest session to address. And what we've been facing today is the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, as a chairman of health, I've been getting a lot of emails and letters for us to help those who are stranded due to our COVID-19 lockdowns. These people, especially in Guam and Hawaii, really need the Congress to step up to help them, especially the students at the University of Guam, that if we don't take care of the debt or take care of the bill that is actually been given to our consulate office in Guam to take care of our students, the room and board, so they can sleep and they eat while this COVID-19 pandemic is ongoing. Because of our lockdown, they cannot come home. So I was hoping that we address, put everything on the side and really look at what's really needed to be done. And that is addressing our citizens who in need of help. Today, we have 20 plus days of session, and we basically said no to them. Because after today, I don't know when is the special session, or we're going to call for another special session. And they're going to sit and wait and hope that they get some kind of hoping that the money that's actually given to us from U.S. or from other countries that help us with this COVID-19 to give it to our citizens, but nothing coming from us, our government, to help with them. And for those two states that voted no, I hope next time we should set everything on the side and address this because of our citizens, not because of public projects can come and go. It takes about 6 to 90 days sometimes, or even 2 years for it to really materialize. But they need our help today, yesterday, and tomorrow, and so on, until they will receive something from us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chairman Perman, for your statement. Sure, we are very much aware of the assistance that we need to do. We'll just have to be creative and find ways and other ways, as I know there are some available funding with the executive already that we may want to ask that they tap, because no matter what we do or did, we still need to help our stranded citizens and students abroad. And I think that is part of our legislative process. We need to accept and also try to find alternative ways of helping out. Of course, that is discretion with each of the delegation in terms of our voting, and we will be accountable for that as well. There is no question about that. Any other? Yes, Chairman Roosevelt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I think there is, we need to clarify that there is, as you stated, Speaker, there is some money already appropriated by Congress during the last special session to take care of people, our citizens who are being held up outside because of the COVID-19. It may not be enough, but there is some money already appropriated. And I understand the executive branch, unfortunately, they are slow in making sure that they're giving money to those people out there. So it's not that there is zero money appropriated. There is money already appropriated. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I wish to, I don't know, beg the indulgence of the President to express my my disappointment to the way he is doing things, especially relating to this housing and salaries of some of the key personnel of the administration. I hope that he would really think hard and see whether there is it's fair for him to get $4,500 a month housing when a lot of people out there are making maybe only $2,000 per year salaries. And so I continue to have problem with the salary increases for employees of the national government, especially those employees that are making quite a good salary of 40,000 when other people of this nation are really suffering. So I hope my president will take heed of what I'm saying, and in looking at the budget for the ensuing fiscal year, he would take that into consideration, including making decision on what to do with the 4 residences that were constructed at the generosity of the People's Republic of China for our leaders. And as a person who was in that office when the 4 houses were discussed and constructed, they were meant for president, vice president, chief clerk, chief justice, and speaker. And unfortunately, a decision was made to move a department into one of the 4 residences, which I spoke out against, especially the Department of Education, which was and is still under this chairmanship. So I hope we move from here on forward and consider some of the things that have contributed to what some of us are looking at this session as not being a good session. But we should always be fair to all of us, each and every one of us. We should always look at ourselves and ask questions. Are we being fair to each and every member of this Congress? When we divide up money for delegation operations, are we being fair to all of the delegation? For public projects, I continue to, with all due respect to Chairman Willie and RN Palik, continue to raise the issue that I think YAP has been not given good and fair share of public project, because we're dividing the money based on members of Congress when we know that YAP has outer islands and Koshai, for some reason, didn't have any. So, true, we need to be honest with each other and be fair and firm, friendly and consistent. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much for your Ursula. Okay, any other? Vice
Mr.
Speaker.
Speaker.
Vice Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Congress adjourn sine die.
Second.
Short recess of the back. Congress is back in session. There is a motion to adjourn sine die, which was seconded. So let's vote on that motion. Those in favor of the motion that Congress stand adjourned sine die, say yes.
Yes.
Motion carried. The fourth regular session of the 21st Congress is now adjourned sine die. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Of course,